In the quietude of a small Australian town, a chilling event unfolded: the Sharpe family murders. What began as a serene evening turned into a nightmare, shrouded in mystery and tragedy. This is the gripping tale of a family ensnared in a web of darkness, leaving a community stunned and grappling with the aftermath of a heinous crime. John Miles Sharpe, who happened to be an Australian man, was born on February 28, 1967, in Mornington, Victoria. A town like a village, as it is known for its village atmosphere and its beaches, making it a tourist destination for people within and outside the town. The Mornington community was also known for its calm and beautiful charm. People loved it because of its welcoming ambiance and strong community spirit. Well, that is about what the city was previously known for before the gruesome familicide that shocked the city and eventually made the city known for a disturbing phrase, which was Mornington Monster. Moving on to the memory lane, John Sharpe, who happened to be an ordinary person who didn't attract attention, grew up in Mornington, Victoria, as well as his wife. His wife, Anna Kemp, was born in Zealand but grew up in Australia, which happens to be in the same city as John. They both met at the Commonwealth Bank of Australia in the 1990s, where they worked together. Even though Anna was 4 years his senior, it didn't stop the two lovebirds. As their relationship moved fast, their love quickly grew, and they got closer not as co-workers, but as lovers. Their love for each other grew more from there, and they both got married in October 1994. As couples, they lived in various locations around Melbourne before eventually moving to Mornington, a suburb in the Mornington Peninsula in Victoria. They are what you can describe as an average family leading a regular life within their community. Fast forward to August 2002, Anna gave birth to a bouncing baby girl and named her Gracie. It wasn't easy for them, as Gracie's arrival, which should have been a period of happiness and festivity, turned around and came with challenges. Gracie Louise Sharpe was born with a rare condition, a condition called hip dysplasia. This condition was a crucial time for both John, Anna, and Gracie, as it affected their life greatly. The condition hip dysplasia is an abnormality of the hip joint, which results in joint dislocation. Hip dysplasia happens when the hip joint doesn't develop properly, and the ball and socket don't fit together as they should. This misalignment can cause problems because the joint may not move smoothly, leading to discomfort, pain, and difficulty in activities like walking or running. Due to Gracie's condition, she had difficulty sleeping and cried often, and this put a strain on their marriage life. Gracie was asked to be placed on orthopedic treatment for the first 3 months of her life, which necessitated her wearing a harness for this first 3 months, as this was a corrective solution for her condition. 3 months passed successfully, and Gracie still finds it difficult to sleep and feed. Anna had to seek professional assistance afterward. Their relationship took a twist a year later, November 2003 to be precise. Anna had become pregnant again, and little Gracie was not so little anymore at that time, as she was 15 months old, basically a year and 3 months. John wasn't so happy with the pregnancy, as he believed one gave him quite a hard time dealing with, and now unsure how he was going to deal with 2. He grew a mind of having to bear 2 burdens and grew resentment towards Anna, a woman she once loved. He didn't want another child. There was a point. He believed the pregnancy wasn't his, as he felt surprised the day she realized Anna was pregnant. He has questioned his wife on many questions as to whether he was the true owner of the pregnancy, which made Anna thrilled with the pregnancy and a sense of concern. Moving forward, on March 21, 2004, there was an organized birthday event for a nephew in which Sharpe family attended. It was reported that there was no tension or argument between the two, as everything went smoothly throughout the event. 2 days later, on March 23, 2004, something that would be considered a fatal incident happened. But before that, it was alleged that John had a high-powered spear gun and an additional spear he purchased in 2003 in Sport Phillip Marine, a local shop in Mornington. It was said that he had shown zero interest in spearfishing at that time, but practiced regardless in the backyard of his residence, making himself familiar with the use of a spear, and in no time he was good with using a spear. Who knows, he was practicing not for spearfishing, but was practicing for something even more horrific. Moving back to March 23, 2004, according to John, he and his wife argued about something not closely discussed, an argument that changed their lives forever, and they both retired to bed after the argument. Who knew the bed would be Anna's deathbed? While Anna was fast asleep and John was still drooling, brooding, and pondering deeply over the argument and the state of his marriage life, he did something heinous. John went to the backyard garage to pick up his spear gun and took drastic action afterward. On his return back to the bedroom, John stood a few centimeters away from his wife and fired her on her head. Sharpe, in a desperate bid to hide the gruesome truth, dismissed a TV serviceman who arrived at the house the following morning with the worry that the serviceman might accidentally discover the lifeless body. This compelled him to take drastic measures by burying her in the backyard, putting her into a rubbish bag, and throwing her out with the household rubbish. This was very disturbing as his wife was pregnant, leaving an unforgettable mark on the room. As this wasn't enough, John decided his daughter needed to be with his mother as well, and hatched a plan to execute her. Days passed, and it was finally the day he decided Gracie should join her mother. He took his spear afterward and shot it at her daughter. He had no remorse whatsoever, as this was done swiftly without holding back. He once again dragged her body to the garbage and threw it out with the household rubbish at the Mornington refuse transfer station. He got rid of the spear gun, the spears, and some of Gracie's clothes and toys afterward. This grievous crime didn't take long to be noticed, as Anna and her mother had a very deep connection and called each other almost every day, maintaining regular communication and exchanging calls every few days. She does this to check up on her daughter as well as her granddaughter, as she still has minor issues due to her condition. With this in mind, Anna's mother has been trying to reach out to Anna after her death, but she was not able to get through. She grew concerned about this and had to contact John, her husband, and asked for her whereabouts and why she hadn't been able to reach her. John, having planned this out, claimed Anna had left him days back for another man she was having extramarital affairs with, and he hasn't been able to reach out to her. He claimed he took along Gracie, and he is also trying to get in touch with her to have back his daughter. This was well articulated maliciously by John, as if he had it all planned. He has once argued on several occasions whether the pregnancy Anna has was for him, and this gave him an edge that Anna has extramarital affairs she was involved with, making the story formulated by John somewhat true. John didn't stop there. He went on to inform Gracie's childcare center that Anna had left him and taken Gracie with her. Anna's mum, upon hearing John's part of the story about her daughter's disappearance, wasn't satisfied and grew more concerned. She was adamant and believed her daughter could not make the mistake of leaving her matrimonial home for another man, considering the fact she was 20 weeks pregnant and she had a daughter she had to tend to. Well, a few days passed, and Anna's mum's birthday came up. She got more suspicious as she received a text of happy birthday and even some flowers sent by Anna, and this took another turn as this was meant to relieve her of her agony of her daughter's disappearance. She had a feeling something was off, as the messages didn't sound like it was written by her daughter. She didn't try calling them through a telephone call either, and the messages received were more like it was scripted by someone else. The messages have Anna's name, but they don't capture her true self. They felt empty as Anna's mother read them, feeling uneasy and worried. The family got suspicious that John was deceiving them, and this suspicion made Anna's mum call the New Zealand police and report that her daughter was missing. This prompted the New Zealand proceeded with protocol and started by questioning John. They got nothing substantial from him, as he was trying so hard to cover up for his crime. He reframed his story about Anna leaving him for another man voluntarily, and he had no hand in her leaving, which the police, family members, and close friends of Anna refused to believe. The family claimed Anna would never do such as she was, a devoted Catholic, and she would never have any extramarital affairs nor leave his marriage alone for someone else. They believed she would not abandon her family so abruptly. The New Zealand officer realized they weren't getting anywhere with this case and requested the Mornington police in Australia to handle things. They immediately sprang into action and made a call to John, but again, he failed to convince them that Anna left voluntarily. The Mornington officer escalated the case and transferred it to Victoria's Missing Persons Unit. A large-scale investigation started afterward. After a series of questions directed to John, he became the prime suspect in the case, as all the details about Anna leaving turn out to be false. There was no single evidence about Anna voluntarily missing, as there wasn't evidence of bus tickets, plane tickets, or hotel room booked. All of Anna's friend has absolutely no backup to the story of her leaving, as the only evidence of her being alive is activity on her phone and her bank account. Even though the activity appears shady, John's story lacked emotion and factuality, and this considered his story false. John also claimed that Anna had relocated to the nearby Melbourne suburb of Chelsea, with their daughter denying any awareness or involvement in her disappearance. John, in his attempt to appear innocent, appeared on a now infamous television interview and also on several media interviews where he begged and pleaded with Anna to contact him. He stated, "Anna, our marriage may be over, but I still love you, and you are the mother of our beautiful daughter Gracie, whom we both adore more than anyone else." He stated that anyone with information should also please step forward while also maintaining he has run away with another man. He appeared emotional in the TV interview and deceived several people with his crocodile tears, but this didn't change the opinion of the police, as they still suspect him of Anna's whereabouts. John was interviewed once again and was pressured this time around to make him nervous and make some mistakes, which will give them led to Anna's discovery. As the police saw that the investigations weren't leading anywhere, they planted some officers in plain clothes to keep track of his whereabouts. Surveillance was placed on him unknowingly, and this led them to discover an incriminate act committed by John. It was a sunny afternoon, and John drove down to Chelsea Beach constantly. This was considered a suspicious act, as he was looking over his shoulder to make sure no one was watching. He went to a specific bush by the shore and pulled a white plastic bag from under it. Taking it back to his car, he pulled out a phone from the plastic bag and made a call. Sharpe then put everything back into the bag and reburied it under the bush by the beach. All these suspicious acts were caught on camera by the surveillance team. John proceeded to the nearest ATM center, withdrew some cash, and on getting home, rang the missing person unit, claiming her wife just rang him and also withdrew some cash from their joint account. The unit knew better, as it was quite obvious that John was trying to make it seem like Anna was still alive for them to put a stop to the search. Convinced he has deceived the unit, things take a turn around as the call that was meant to clear his name led to a breakthrough in the case of Anna. The unit was convinced he was responsible for her wife's disappearance, and the reason might either be murder or due to dread. It must only mean that Gracie got killed by him too. The surveillance team has gathered enough evidence to arrest him, but had less evidence to convict him. They decided to further trail his movements and see if they could get more lead. They were still hopeful as to whether he might commit another atrocity that would lead them to the bodies, but no further action was taken by him. Several days passed, and when no actions were taken by John, the missing person unit decided to arrest him. On a host of conversations, missing persons officer Narelle Fraser spoke to Mamma Mia's Emma Gillespie about Sharpe's mindset during his arrest. "I don't think anybody would know how John felt about anything," she said. "He was a closed book, he was very insular, he was a loner. I don't think anybody apart from his parents understood how John felt about anything. He didn't show any emotion or remorse, he showed no personality. I think you could call him inept." On 22nd June 2004, after his arrest, he was interviewed twice, and during the first post-interview, he continued to deny all allegations of committing the crime. He stood on his word all through and didn't budge. The police knew that they needed to find another avenue to get across to him and hatched a plan. They summoned his parents and showed them the footage of their son on Chelsea Beach, and then sent them in to talk to her, as it was believed that he would listen to them. 1 hour passed, and his parents came out. Surprisingly, he was ready to talk. In the second interview, he eventually confessed to his crime and stated how he murdered his wife and his daughter. According to missing persons officer Narelle Fraser, the scenario he explained was difficult to assimilate and comprehend. He said it without remorse and zero emotion whatsoever. It was a difficult experience hearing a man murder his wife who was 3 months pregnant. John admitted to the murder of Anna, explaining how he practiced using the spear gun in the shed days before the murder because she was getting on his nerves. On the night of the murder, after Anna went to bed, John grabbed the spear gun and shot her in the head while she slept. He buried her in the backyard, only to exhume her a few days later, put her into a rubbish bag, and throw her out with the household rubbish. This is his wife, who's pregnant. John was later questioned about the reason he killed his wife, and he said it was because she was controlling and moody, and their marriage was unhappy. He told the police he was thinking of taking care of Gracie by herself, and just among the madness, he lost the plot. The feeling he has was described as nothing but a gruesome act. After the confession of how the murder took place, he went on to admitting to the murder of her daughter and confessing to the act committed that led to her murder. According to John, after several days after killing Anna, John admitted he started thinking Gracie needed to be with her mum. After downing a couple of shots of scotch, he once again grabbed the spear gun and shot Gracie. Once again, he placed the body in a garbage bag. It was basically like him describing a natural event, that which nothing serious happened it. We have seen cases of a murderer showing no remorse, but cases of the victim being so close and still showing zero remorse. Describe the state of mind of John as nothing short of a murderous mind. Before John's testament, the missing person unit made its way to search for evidence, following the clues given by John. They undertook a massive search, lasting 3 weeks in Rockley Stone Waste Management Facility in Tuarong, 60 kilometers south of Melbourne. The search was originally meant to last more than 3 weeks, but thanks to the management at the site, with their expertise, they were able to specify the rough 100 square meters that they believed the bodies would be found in. This saved the team an immeasurable amount of time and labor, as the 100 square meters were used as an avenue to search through. Like any other tip site, the facility holds mounds upon mounds of household rubbish across a large expanse of land. But unlike any other tip site, there are hundreds of police officers digging through the rubbish. It's like a scene from an apocalypse film, as the investigators and police wear biohazard suits, a garment worn to protect people from hazardous materials or substances, including chemicals, biological agents, or radioactive materials, and heavy-duty masks. At the dump site, following the lead of John, the officers were on the lookout for 2 ordinary blue rubbish bags that were believed to have the victim bodies of pregnant 41-year-old Anna Kemp and her 20-month-old daughter Gracie. It was not easy to find those, as there were lots of blue rubbish bags across. Every time the search party comes across one, they must halt everything. This unavoidable process has delayed their investigation considerably, costing the force almost $500,000 a day. Morale is low as officers are told they're reaching the limits of their resources and are down to their last day of searching. They've only got one more chance to find the mother and daughter. Narelle Fraser turned out to be the lady who saved the day. Although she's been heavily invested in the case since day one, she never wants to see another blue bag again, nor feel the dread that rises every time they do. It's 10 a.m. on the 11th and the final day of searching. An excavator pulls up a huge claw of rubbish. Fraser spots a blue bag lodged at the top. Just as they've done hundreds of times over the last 10 days, she halts the search to investigate. Scrambling up meters of rubbish, Fraser finds and opens the rubbish bag only to see a kitchen glove. So she signals for the search to continue. But something feels wrong. Fraser's gut takes her back to the bag, and as she opens it again, she sees something else. What she'd thought was a kitchen glove was a bloated, decomposing human hand and arm. She screams at the top of her voice. She's found them. During a media interview, Fraser stated that she has never forgotten what it was like to find Anna's body. "I've thought about it since, and I know it sounds bizarre, but I almost feel like Anna was reaching out to me," she said. "I was determined to make sure that Anna wouldn't end her life in this smelly, disgusting, ratty tip. I just knew I would find her. And you know what? I did." This was like a dream come true for Fraser, as she was like a savior who saved the day. Fraser confessed that the elation they felt at the discovery was quickly dampened by the realization that Gracie must be close by. "I put my head in my hands, and I just cried. I cried for what Anna had endured, for Anna's family, for humanity as a whole, I suppose, but the thought of Gracie nearby." Fraser trailed off and continued her search for Gracie. With the discovery of Anna's body, the search efforts were renewed, and a couple of days later, while walking back to an on-site caravan, the wind blew a photo of Anna to the feet of one of the detectives. A day later, they found the body of Gracie. Due steps were taken afterward to the discovered bodies. After all was said and done, on 5th August 2005, John appeared in the Supreme Court of Victoria, and he pleaded guilty to the murders. He was convicted of 2 consecutive terms of life imprisonment, and the case was considered and labeled the Mornington Monster, the man who committed familicide without showing any remorse. To this day, he is still locked up in prison and not getting out soon.